Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is John Mudalake from johnwebsolutions.com. And in today's tutorial, we will be discussing the WordPress dashboard. We're going to do a complete overview so that you can understand how to manage your own WordPress website. So while preparing for this video, I was contemplating what the best approach would be in order for me to present this. I wanted it to be short, but at the same time, I wanted it to be thorough enough so that if there are any newcomers, newbies to WordPress, and you want to find out a little bit more information about how you can manage your WordPress website, you will have a thorough overview on how to get that done. WordPress tends to be my de facto recommendation when I'm dealing with small business websites. So for anyone who wants to learn more about WordPress, the dashboard, stay tuned. Along this video, you will see links to more videos on how you can get more information about a specific section. Because as I mentioned, I wanted this to be short but thorough, but at the same time, I do understand that I can't cover everything 100%, given it'll be a little bit too boring if I continued on and on for hours at a time. That being said, let's jump in. So in today's tutorial, like I had mentioned, we will be covering what is WordPress and how you can manage your own dashboard. So in order to do this, one of the first things that you have to do is you need to be able to log in to your WordPress website. So if you haven't done so, or if you have a website and you're not sure how to get it done, I recommend that you reach out to your developer and ask for admin credentials or administrative credentials on how you can log into your WordPress. Typically, it tends to be in this format. It's going to be www, whatever your website name is, /WP admin. Now, this is the default login link for a WordPress website. That being said, you can always change this because it just so happens when you have a default admin login, a lot of hackers out there, a lot of unsavory characters will try to log into your website. So because of this reason, developers these days, webmasters these days, what they do is they change the default login in order to prevent unauthorized entry or people trying brute force attacks on the website. So with that in mind, if you do have the credentials to your admin dashboard, log in with those details. And when you do that, you will be in your WordPress dashboard. Couple of things to keep in mind here. I have a default WordPress installation. On the left-hand side, you will see the menu. Now, do not be alarmed if this menu is different from what you see on your website. Based on what you have installed, different kinds of plugins, different kinds of themes, or if you extended the functionality of your WordPress website, you will see more details than what you see here. But all in all, this is essentially what you see on the screen. This is essentially what you will see in a day-to-day basis on what a WordPress dashboard will look like. So let's jump in. On the dashboard side, on the home page, you will get a overview on your WordPress dashboard. So what you can do is you can always dismiss some of these notifications on the dashboard because this is a quick snapshot on what you can do. You will see that in this default installation that I have for WordPress, I have 11 posts and I have 19 comments and I have 25 pages. So this essentially gives you a brief overview or a snapshot on what your WordPress website will look like. You can also do a quick draft. Let's say that you want to post a blog article and you wanted to start on something, but you're not going to finish it right away. What you could do is you can do a quick draft so that you can save it in your drafts and you can pick it up later and complete the draft and post it to your website. Just like that, you have some more interesting modules here. Things like activity, some of the things that you have recently published, any recent comments that was done on your website. You will also see information on WordPress events and news, just so that you can keep updated on the community about the different events that be local to you so that you can attend them. You can kind of find more information about WordPress and how to manage your site or how to extend the functionality. So that being said, one of the first things that I'm going to concentrate on here is how you can edit your screen options. Um, the upward arrow button here, as you can see, if I click them, you'll be able to minimize and maximize the modules that you see on the screen. So you can organize the screen according to your liking. You can also drag and drop these items so that you can change the places. That way you only keep what you like. You can delete whatever you don't want. And for that reason, you have a section called screen options on top. The screen options essentially tells you, hey, these are the modules available for your home page on your dashboard. Not on the website, but on the back-end dashboard on your site. So what is it that you would like to see? If you think that the WordPress events and news you're not going to use, you can always unclick that. Once you unclick that, it'll go away from the screen. So similarly, based on what you have installed, the different plugins, the different functionality, you will see either more options or less options than what you see on my screen here. So let's move on to the next section. Under dashboard, so we covered home. The next section is the updates. The update section gives you a brief snapshot on the different themes, the different plugins that's installed on your website, and whether they would need updates as far as version releases. So one of the things that WordPress, the WordPress community, the WordPress organization actually, they do on a regular basis is they update their WordPress versions just so that they can keep in line with recommendations, any fixes that they might do with regards to bugs, any security patches that they have, so that they can keep WordPress evolving day after day, so that so that it'll become one of the best CMS options out there for anyone to build a website. So that's a great thing. But that being said, you can always come here. You can check to see whether your WordPress core, that is the functionality, the core functionality, whether it needs an upgrade. You can do that here. It'll also give you an option to update any of the plugins that you might have installed on your website. And that you see down here. Let's move on to the post section. So just so you understand the difference, we're going to cover posts and pages at the same time because they're very similar. The difference between posts and pages. Posts, think of it as your blog articles. You have a website, you have a blog section or a news section where you update different posts. These are essentially what you refer to as blog articles on your website. So if you want to manage your blog articles or posts on your website, you come to the section where it says posts. If you click on it, you will see it drop downs and it gives you more options. You have all posts, add new, categories, and tags. Now, I'm not going to go through every single thing here. What I will do is I do have a couple of videos on how to add posts, how to add categories, and how to add tags. And I'm going to display on the screen right now. You can click on them, gather more information on how you can manage your WordPress posts, tags, and categories. But in a nutshell, just so that you understand, posts are the blog articles, and this is the place that you will actually come to manage your posts, or if you want to add a new post, or if you want to add new categories or manage new categories, and add new tags and manage new tags on your website. So since we're done with the post section, the pages section is very similar to posts, so we're going to jump to that. So let's talk about pages. Pages, unlike posts, are essentially static content that you have on the website. Now, I don't mean static as a definition of the term. What I mean by that is every website that you see, your organizational website, for instance, will have static content, things like about us, or things like a company profile, or something that you want to say that is mostly informational, which is different. That is different from your blog articles. That is where WordPress differentiates between the two. So you have the pages on your website, and then you have posts on your website. So in this section, we are talking about the pages. Pages, very similar to blogs. You have all your pages, and then you also have add new pages in this section. Again, I have a link on the video. You can click on it, find more information about how you can add different pages to your website. That way, should you want to add a new page to your website and find out more information about what you can do with it, my suggestion, click on the link. You will get more information about them. Let's move on to the next section. The next section is media. Now, WordPress has the capability of storing all the media that you want to put on your website. So if you click on media, you will see you have two options. One is library. That is a collection of all the media that you have on the website. And they also have a section where you can add new images. So adding new images is fairly simple. All you have to do is, if you have an image that you would like to download or upload into the site, simply drag and drop the file here, or you can click on select files. That will take you to the option where you can essentially click on an image or any type of media that you want to upload to your website, and then upload it to the organizational website. Once you're done with it, it'll give you more options on how you can edit some of these details. But I'm going to leave it at that and give you a brief understanding of what media is. So this is essentially where you can upload any media. That would mean your image files, PNGs, JPEGs. If you have any audio files, video files, PDFs, PowerPoint presentations, whatever the attachment that you might want to add to your website, you can do it from here. And if you click on the library section, it will take you to a list of all the media that you have on your website. And here's an example of what you might see. So the great thing about this is you have all this information, and you can choose to use any of these images, for example, on your website, on any of the pages, or any of the posts, or any of the extended functionality that you have on your website. Let's move on to comments. The comment section is very specific to your blog articles or posts on your website. Let's say you have a post and people leave comments. These comments you can grab from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly browse through this. This essentially gives you a place where you can approve, you can delete, you can unapprove, or you can edit comments left by other people about the blog articles on your website. Moving on to contact. The contact forms, it comes as a default functionality. However, it's an extended functionality of WordPress. Let's say you have a contact us form on your website where people can get in touch with you. This is essentially where you would go and create your contact us form. I'm not going to go into more details, but if you want more information about how you can create a contact form or edit an existing contact form, follow the link on the video and you'll get more information on how you can edit the contact forms, the different kind of contact forms that you have on your website. Let's move on to the appearance section. The appearance section is the core when it comes to how your website is maintained, the look and feel. So there are two options. You have what you call themes. That is essentially the look and feel of your website. WordPress comes pre-installed with some basic themes that you can use to modify and create your website. At the same time, you can also purchase either free or paid themes that you can use for your organizational website. So if you want to learn more about how you can activate, download, or add a new theme, click on the link and it'll take you to another video of mine which will show you how you can upload a new theme to your website and activate it accordingly. So once you're done with the theme, once you've activated a certain theme that you would like to use, you can go ahead and manage these themes accordingly. So some of the other options that you have here is you can customize your theme accordingly. So once you click on the customize option, it'll take you to a page where it'll give you more information about how you can change the site title, for example, the site identity right here. You can also change certain things like the logo, the color scheme on your website. If you have anything on the header, how are you going to change it? If you have any menus. What is it that you're going to use? The navigational menus. What's the main menu? What's the sub footer menu? All of this information you can find here. Again, now, do not be alarmed based on what you have installed as your theme on your website. These options will change drastically. But what's important to remember if you're a newbie to WordPress and you're learning more about how to manage your theme, just come to this section, click through the options that you have. It will give you an understanding of what is it that you can do, what is it that you can't do. If you have some development or coding knowledge, there are certain things that you can do without any problem. But if you don't, it'll kind of tell you in a glance of, I think I might need a little bit more coding experience in order for me to move ahead with the change that I'm talking about. So just like the menus, you also have the widgets. There are certain widgets. Think of widgets as modules that you can install on your website. Let's say in your footer of the website, you have different sections, and these different sections has different information. So what you can do is you can insert them as widgets to your website. So if you want to manage your widgets, here's an example, a blog sidebar. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a blog, right? And on the blog, you have on the left hand or the right hand side, you have a sidebar. And in this sidebar, you have information about previous articles, a contact form where people can get in touch with you, or you have a couple of videos that you want to feature. You can add all of these things as widgets to the website. So you click on one of these, you can get an understanding of how you can edit these widgets accordingly. Again, this is only one place where you can do that. I'm going to show you exactly another place where you can go and grab information about more of your widgets and how you can edit them as well. So let's move back from widgets. Let's move to homepage settings. The homepage settings section kind of lets you select how you want your homepage to be. So based on how you are going to structure your website, you can choose a static page, right? Now the static page can be anything. So once you use a static page, it'll kind of tell you, it'll give you options. Okay, what is it that you want to use as the main page for your website? So you can choose from any of these lists. Now remember, the list that you see here is going to differ from person to person. These are all the pages that I have created on this example website. So the home is essentially what I want to choose as the homepage website. I'm going to choose that. And you're going to have to create a blog main page as well. So the blog main page, again, can be a specific page, or it can be any of the pages that you have created as well. So you have a blog. So in the theme that I have installed right here, you have a blog grid, blog titles, and single post that I can probably use as my blog main page on the website. So you can click on any of these. Let's move back. Let's keep it at blog. Move away from here. Theme options, again, might differ from person to person on what you have. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because based on the theme that you have installed on your website, your editor, as far as how to manage your theme, will be very different. But let's move on from here. You also have a recent addition to your themes. This is additional CSS. So this is essentially where you can come and say, I want to change the title color or make certain changes on your website as additional CSS. And you are comfortable in making CSS changes, you can use this place to come and make those changes. Again, you might need some development help if you don't know what CSS is. But if you are aware of CSS, which is a basic cascading styles that we use as developers to style your website, this is where you would come. This is one of the places where you can come and do it rather than editing the core files on your themes. You can add additional CSS here, and it actually has a higher priority, so it will essentially override most of the core functionality with regards to styling changes on your website. Let's close this out. Okay, so let's move away from here. So we were in the customize section. Now remember, I talked about widgets. So you have a section for widgets on the website as well. This is a place where you can come and create different widgets. So in this theme, we have created a blog sidebar. We have created a shop widget. We have footer 1, footer 2. So essentially what that means is in the footer of your website, you might have 2 sections or you might have 4 sections. But in this example, you have 2 sections. And in these 2 sections, you want to add more information. So this is a dynamic way of you managing some of the content on your website. Remember, in a dynamic website, what they do essentially is they divide your website components into specific modules. If you want to learn more about dynamic websites and how they create dynamic websites, I have a great video that you can click. Click on the video. I have a link right now. You will get more information about what the difference of a dynamic website and a static website might be. So once you're done with that, come back so that you have understanding of hey, this is a dynamic component on your website. How is it that you edit this? How is it that you, let's say you want to add an image to your footer widget. So what you do is you essentially go to, on the left hand side here, you have these options, all these options of what you can add to your widgets. You come here, you click on image, for example, and say, oh, I want this to be included in footer 1. So once you do that, this widget will be added, and you come here, you can actually select any of the images that you have uploaded to your library, or you can upload a new image by clicking the upload files option here, or you can insert from a URL here. So those are your options. So once you do that, this image will be added and it will be shown in your widget, footer widget. Let's say you don't want this. You want something like a bunch of links, or you want to add a text, underlining your copyright policy, for example. What you do, you would go to the text section, say that you want to include this in footer 1, and you say add widget. You come here, you can give it a title, and then you can give it a description of what your copyright policy is. And once you're done with that, you save it. That text will be saved essentially on your footer widget, and it will show according to what you have selected on your theme on your website footer. All right, let's go to menus. Menus in WordPress are the navigational items that you have installed on your website. So let me see whether I can actually load this. Okay, so this is the front end on the website, and what you will see, as you can see, this website has a navigational menu. So you have home, about us. About us section has more information. So you click on that, it will drop down, it will give you more information. Oops, there you go. So about us has sub-menu items, pages have sub-menu items, latest news has sub-menu items, and the shop has sub-menu items. So the question is, where do you go and add things or delete things from this menu? This is why the menu section is going to be important. Now, I think I do have a video on how you can edit menus as well. So if I do have one, I will put it up on the screen. You can click on that video and you can go and grab information on how you can manage your existing menus, or if you want to create a new menu for your WordPress website. And that's where you would do that. The header section talks about your header components, what you can add, what you can edit, things like logo, things like your site title, things like any tagline that you want to add to the website. That information will be in your header option, as you can see. So based on the theme right here, as you can see, what they're doing is you're using an image for the header. If you want to hide that image, you can do that. It'll take that away. But I'm not going to do any of that because this is essentially supposed to be only a brief overview on how to manage your WordPress website. Widget areas are very simple to what we talked about. That is like essentially the widgets that you have on the website. This is another functionality, and I believe this is not going to be present on all default installations. This might have been because of a theme I might have installed on the website, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. What's the most important section in the appearance main menu here is the editor section. The editor section is important is because it kind of gives you a quick access to the core theme files on your website. So as you can see, the moment you come, they give you a warning saying that, hey, you're trying to make direct changes to your themes. We don't recommend you doing that. So if you want to make themes, use an FTP program, get into the server and make the changes, because any changes that you do here will essentially overwrite your core theme files, or core theme files or core plugin files, and they don't necessarily recommend that. So if you are a newbie to WordPress and you don't necessarily need to be here, you can go back, but if you want to kind of get a sense of what your theme looks like, what are the basic components that makes up your theme, you can come here. So let's briefly go through this. For example, the theme that we are in is 2017, and these are all the files that you have on the theme files. Now, in order for you to edit this, you need to know WordPress, the core functionality, how themes are set up, the different kinds of files are needed in order for you to have a theme active on your WordPress installation. Things like the footer, what is it that you want to include there? When I mean what is it that you want to include there, what I mean is the components, not necessarily this all the styling and the content, but more of what makes it, how do you create the footer, how do you organize the footer accordingly. That information is included here. Again, please stay away from this if you are not comfortable, or if you have no experience with or even little experience with HTML, CSS, and PHP. My recommendation is you stay away and you request help from a developer as far as making changes to the theme. Most of theme options, if they are available, in order for you to make the simple changes, they will be in the customize option, or based on your theme, you're going to have options saying customize theme. If you don't have that, you will have to reach out to a developer and they'll be able to help you out. And that's the editor section. Similar to that, you have what you call plugins on the website. So themes and plugins, two main components of WordPress websites. Plugins are essentially extensions of WordPress functionality. You click on that, it'll take you to a section that you can get more information about all the plugins that's installed on here. You can activate and deactivate these plugins accordingly. You're not going to have all the plugins activated. So let's talk about extending functionality. What do I mean by that? WordPress was essentially built as a blogging tool. Then they extended the functionality so that you can create mini websites on them. But that wasn't enough. A lot of people had a lot of requests. Hey, I want to add an agents plugin, but I want it to be dynamic so that I can only, I can simply click add agent. These are what you call custom post types. Add an agent, add a picture, add a description. So clients had requested that they want to extend the functionality. So what developers do, mind you, I forgot to mention this. WordPress has a community of developers in the thousands and thousands. What they do is they create plugins to extend functionality for WordPress, so it becomes easier for you to manage your WordPress installation. So that's one of the reasons when I started off, I had mentioned on the left-hand side menu, you might have a lot more options that I do, or little options than what I do on this website, on this installation. And that essentially is because of the different plugins you might have installed. So let me give you a basic rundown on what it is. So here we have a plugin called Timetable and Event Schedule. It's a smart time management tool with a clean, minimalistic design for featuring your timetables and upcoming events. So this might have been a request from you or a client to say, hey, I want to extend the functionality on our website, or I want to have the functionality on my website to be able to add timetables. So this was a plugin that was designed by this group called MotoPress. You can find more information there. So once you're done downloading this plugin to your website, you can activate it. Once you activate it, based on how they have set up, you might get more options on your WordPress menu here. As you can see, the timetables option came up, and within that timetable options, you have these different things you can do on how to manage your timetable accordingly. So this is essentially what we refer to as plugins. Now, if you want to learn more about how to install plugins, how to add new plugins into your website, I have a link on the video. Click on it and you'll get more information. Let's move on to the next section. We have here is users. So your WordPress installation will have different user types. So if you're an admin, you will have a role of an administrator. But if there are people just coming to your website, if you have an e-commerce website, for example, WooCommerce, that's one of the most popular within WordPress, extended functionality, you will have people who come to shop on your website. They will have a basic subscriber functionality. Or you might have people that work in your office who is responsible for adding blog articles on your website. So for that, you can create a user role, and on there you can give them different permissions. And one of those permissions will be editor or author. So based on this, based on the role, you will have different access levels. Administrator will have access to all the functions that you have on the website. Editor will have lesser privileges. Author will only have capability of editing, managing posts on your website. Contributor is essentially the same thing. And subscriber will only have a minimalistic dashboard where they can see comments that they have made, or if you have an e-commerce site, if they have made any orders, they'll get more information about the different things that they can do. So that's essentially the users. Your profile section essentially takes you to your user profile where you can edit some of the information. Let's say you want to change an email or you want to change your name, you can do that accordingly. Or if you're working with a developer, you need to give them admin access, for example. You can come here and say, hey, I am working with a new developer. I want to give them access to the website. And you have to be very careful, because once you give administrative privileges to anyone, they can make any change that you have on the website. So be very selective. Know the people that you give access to. But once you're done with it, you can come here. You can manage things. And this is a great place where you can go ahead and manage your subscribers as well. Let's say you have a subscriber that keeps on leaving spam comments on your website and they have registered to your website. You can come here, manage them. You can delete their comments, or you can simply delete their account itself. So it's a great tool to have where you can manage access on the website. All right, so let's go to the last two sections. Number one is tools. These are some of the available tools that you have. So if you click on tools, it will take you to this section. You have an import-export option. Import-export option, essentially, what it does is, let's say you have content on the website, right? You can import and export different information. Yeah, let's say you're bringing in content from a different WordPress installation or a Tumblr or a live journal, blog roll. You have this information coming in from a different CMS. You can essentially import some of this information to your WordPress website. So that's a great thing to have. Again, sometimes you might need to know a little bit more about importing things, how to organize the CSV file that you're uploading and whatnot. But all in all, they've made it really relatively simple, not really, relatively simple for you to import or export options. So the export option here, you can export posts, pages, contact forms, different blogs you have, or the different widgets and media that you have on the website. And once you select what you want to export, you can download export. It'll download all of the information from your website. And why do you do this? Because let's say you are moving to a different WordPress installation. and you don't want to be, sitting in front of the computer duplicating all the work that you have done. You're moving, page information or blog information from a different CMS over to WordPress. Based on that, you can say, hey, I'm going to either download it and use it to import it to a different CMS, or download it so that you can have it saved in case of emergencies, and you can do it here. There's also option of exporting personal data. This is very specific to your specific information. So I'm not going to go to it. There's not a lot of time that you want to use this. But an example would be, hey, you write, you're a blogger and you have accounts with a lot of blogging sites, and you want to be able to import or export some of the information that you have. Based on that, you'll be able to give information, a place where people can download things for personal information. Let's move on to the settings section. The settings section, you have these options. You have general. The general essentially tells you, hey, these are the basic information that's on your website. What is your site title? Do you want to give it a tagline? Is there a WordPress address? That means the domain name, like www.yourwebsite.com. You have a site address, which is essentially the same thing, but there's a minor difference which I'm not going to be worried about right now. Email address. Email address so that the admin for the website receives updates about anything that's going on with your WordPress website. As I had mentioned before, WordPress does regular updates. So if there's an update for the WordPress core functionality, they send you an email saying that, hey, there's an update available. Do you want to go ahead with that? Or if they automatically do an update because of a huge risk or a huge bug fix, it'll send you an email saying your WordPress has been updated to the latest version. So if you want to have constant updates about your website, about what's going on, this is the place you would want to go and change that. If you have membership on your website, you can say anyone can register, or if you unclick that, nobody can register. And if you do put that, what do you want as a default role? Obviously, you don't want it to be administrator. That means, if you have it as administrator by any means, what that means is anybody registering on your website, if you have that capability, functionality enabled, they will have administrative privileges. So you want to keep the lowest role possible, which is subscriber, and subscriber can only do so much. Things like leave a review, things like leave a comment on your blog. That's what a subscriber can do. So you would select that. You can select this, the language that you want to use on your site, the time zone, whether you're on the East Coast, Pacific Coast, or in a different part of the world, what you want your time zone to be. The date format, based on where you live, people have different ways of displaying dates. You can do it here. The time format, same thing, whether you want a 12-hour clock or a 24-hour clock, or you want to create something specific, you can do here. And you can also let the website know, hey, my work week starts on a Sunday or a Monday. By default, it's set for Monday, but you can change that accordingly. And once you're done with changes, you click on the Save Changes button. It'll essentially change all the details that you have. The writing section. The writing section is mainly dedicated to your post. In the post section, you have categories. So one of the things that people might forget to do is when they create a blog post, they might forget to select a category that blog belongs to. So in case that happens, what is it that you want to do? By default, there is a category called uncategorized. That's where it will go. Or if you create your own category and you want that to be the default category for all the blog posts, even if you don't select a category, you would come here and select that category as a main category for default posts. Same thing with the post format, whether you want it to be a post, or you can always have things like a gallery, a quote, a video be your default post type. I recommend this to be standard, but if you want to change that, you can go ahead and do it here. WordPress recently came up with their latest content editor called Gutenberg. So if you want to use Gutenberg as the editor, you would do that, or you can replace it with your classic editor. Here's a mail server. What that means is any mails that you are sending out, whether it be admin emails that comes to you, or any emails that you send to your subscribers, anybody enrolled in your website, you will have to give it mail server information. You can grab this from your hosting provider or ask your developer for help, and you'll be able to change this accordingly. You have an update services section. So when you publish a new post, WordPress automatically notifies the following site about updated services. And if you want to read a little bit more about it, you can click on this. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this because this is not going to be that important with regards to how to manage your website. So let's move on to the reading section. The reading section has some of the information that we covered earlier. So for example, what you want your home page to be, what you want your main post page to be. If you have blog pages, how many are you going to show at most? You're going to see things like each article in a feed. So for example, a feed essentially is in your blog main page. You will have excerpts of what you see. Do you want to show the full text, or whether you want to show a summary when it comes to that? I can show you an example right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my website. And once I log into my website and I go to a blog page, let's go to WordPress tutorials, for example. I have a feed of all the articles that I have. And as you can see, I'm not going to show all the content here. I'm only going to show a certain amount of information, the title, some information, and an excerpt. And then I have a read more button where people can click on it and read more about what's going on. My website's running a little bit slow right now. That's probably because I am running several programs in order for me to record this tutorial. So don't mind the slow website right now, but I just wanted to give you an understanding of what I mean by in this section, whether you want to have full text or summary. Now again, based on your theme, these functionality might have been edited, or you might have a different place where you can go and change your excerpt length and things like that. But all in all, if you're using a default WordPress installation, this is what you would get. Search engine visibility. This is going to be important. Most of you would want to have search engine visibility, where Google, Yahoo, Bing will the bots from those major search engines can crawl your website. But if for whatever reason you want to discourage search engines from indexing or crawling your website, you would want to come here and click on this button. And once you're done with it, you save changes. There are a couple of options. Discussion. Not really important, so I am not going to go through the whole list here, but you can get an understanding by quickly glancing through. Media has to do with settings for your media, what you want your thumbnail sizes to be, medium sizes to be, large sizes to be when you're uploading images to your website. So these are the default items that you have. Based on your theme and based on how things set up, you can change these options. If you want to learn more about it, I think I have a link on how to change these as well. Click on that link, you'll get more information. Same thing with permalinks. Permalinks essentially are how your website looks. So for example, If you have a website and you want search engine friendly URLs on your website, for example, on my website, I'm using search engine friendly URLs. Let's say you want to go to a blog post, and in that blog post, you have things like donwebsolutions.com, which is my website domain, and then followed by the name of the title itself. By default, WordPress will use a plain permalink. What that means is you're going to have your website name.com followed by a / and then this page setting right here. If you want to change that to a more custom, more user-friendly option, you can choose any of these. In my case, I tend to use most of the time post name because that's very search engine friendly, but based on your needs, you can change this accordingly. And I also do have another video. Click on that link. It'll take you to the section where you can grab more information about how to change permalinks. Lastly, moving to the last section of this tutorial, which is privacy. It's been a long tutorial, so let's get this done. The privacy policy is essentially, things that you need to know with regards to your WordPress website. Not very important. In a sense of, you're not going to do a lot of changes when it comes to this section. But if your website, you do have a privacy policy, and then the privacy policy you have added to a page, you can use that privacy policy to be the default privacy policy on your WordPress installation. Now, I don't have a privacy policy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a draft, which is the default, and say, hey, this is the privacy policy for anyone who's coming to my website. So in that privacy policy, you can let people know you're not supposed to use my content, you're not supposed to use my images, or if you're going to give them certain conditions on how they can use information on your website, this is where you would highlight it. And once you highlight it, this is where you can actually come and choose what your privacy policy page is. And again, like I said, you have a create new page. So here you can go ahead and create a new privacy policy page, and you can include it in your website. So that brings about an end to my WordPress tutorial, dashboard tutorial. Last thing I did here is you have a collapse menu in order for you to minimize what you see or maximize what you see. So if your WordPress installation looks a little bit different, you can do it so here. But all in all, I hope you have a good understanding of how you can manage your WordPress dashboard. Do not be scared. The more you use it, the more comfortable you will get with what every section does. I know I wanted to be thorough, but at the same time, I know I have directed you to many links so that you have more information, more detailed videos on how you can go ahead and manage your WordPress website. So with that being said, my name is Don Mudalige. I am the owner of donwebsolutions.com. We are a full option website design, development, SEO, and telecommunications company. So if you need any help, you can always reach out to me. My information is listed on the page right here. It was a pleasure talking to you guys, and I hope to do more tutorials. I know this tutorial was a little bit lengthy, but my thought process here was to say, hey, if you need a little bit more information about how you can manage your website, or wanted to have an overview video for my clients or anybody searching on the internet about how you can manage your WordPress website so that you're not scared. It doesn't look like rocket science to you when it comes to managing your website. So that being said, I'm signing off. Once again, my name is Don Mudalige, and I'm from donwebsolutions.com. You guys have a nice day.